Thank you. Welcome to the meeting of the Tahoe Truckee Unified School District Board of Trustees. Today is March 16th, 2022. If you will all stay seated and join us for the Pledge of Allegiance, that would be great. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America
and to the republic for which it stands.
Thank you. I turned off the mic because we're all on different timing and it's very confusing to listen to. Thanks you all. The board did meet in closed session this evening and we did take action in this evening's closed session. I will report out on that. Today, March 16, 2022, the board approved a settlement agreement related to a student in Tahoe Truckee Unified School District regarding an education dispute. In closed session this evening with a vote of 5-0, the board approved the settlement agreement. Thank you. Superintendent Geisels, any changes to this evening's agenda?
No, President Zurich, no changes.
Would someone like to move approval?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
I'll second.
Roll call, Lupita.
Yes.
Aye.
Member Hennessy. Member Driller.
Aye.
President Zurich.
Yes.
Clerk Larson.
Yes.
Thank you. Next, we have a stipulated expulsion. So it's stipulated expulsion 2122, number 1. Superintendent Geisels or Mr. Santos?
Yes, Mr. Santos will be describing and giving you an update on this.
This case was presented during closed session regarding a stipulated expulsion for a student in our district. Obviously, not breaching confidentiality of the student, I'll entertain any questions before vote, but we are asking for the board to consider this and then vote on it as well. Thank you.
Any board questions? Do we have any public comment on this item?
There's no public comment on this item.
Would someone like to make a motion on this item?
I'll make a motion to approve the stipulated expulsion number 1 for 2122.
I'll second.
Member Levac.
Aye.
Member Hennessy.
Aye.
Member Driller.
Aye.
Clerk Larson.
Yes.
President Zurich.
Yes. Thank you. Next, we have our Superintendent Chief Learning Officer's update for the board.
Thank you, President Zurich. I wanted to acknowledge that we have been through a lot this year, and we have yet one more change where masks were optional as of Monday, March 14th. And I also wanted to acknowledge some wonderful celebrations that are involving our students across our district. And the first one I'd like to mention is our CEL student. His name is Skylar Emery. Skylar won the Placer County Office of Education spelling bee for the entire 5th grade, which is pretty darn awesome. So congratulations to Skylar and his teacher, Mrs. Brisbane. At Tahoe Lake, they're celebrating students every Friday with kindness awards. And they're also celebrating Arts for Schools Quinta Penas performance. And at the end of April, North Tahoe High School Jazz Band will be coming to Tahoe Lake to celebrate Dia del Niño, Day of the Child, with a concert. So they're very excited about that at Tahoe Lake. And at Sierra High Coldstream, Mr. Woolman is reporting to me and to Cabinet that his Sierra High is experiencing the highest average rate of overall credited earning per student than ever before experienced in the history of the school. And with Coldstream and Sierra High, they are making the most students, they've seen the most students engage in post-secondary pursuits than ever before. So that's a celebration. At Truckee High, yesterday morning, Truckee High held their first freshman honor roll for the school year. And honor roll, as you know, is earned with the first and second terms combined for a GPA of 3.5 or above. And distinguished scholars must earn a 4.0 or above. 69 freshmen made the honor roll, and 47 freshmen earned Distinguished Scholars Awards for a total of 116 freshmen out of 203. So that's 50% of the freshman class earn a 3.5 or above in their first year at Truckee High. That's pretty awesome. And North Tahoe High School, the boys alpine skiing and snowboard team are state champs. Are you surprised? Of course not. I'm not. They're amazing. And the girls alpine academic team also is state champs. And of course, we celebrated 2 Olympians in Beijing this year. So hats off to North Tahoe. And at North Tahoe School, they're having an exciting return of athletics with the girls soccer team just starting and track beginning at the beginning of April. And students are benefiting from North Tahoe's built-in advisory period where students focus on mindfulness, social emotional learning, and restorative practice. That's a great way to start the day. At KB fifth grade students spend 10 minutes beautifying their campus and their blacktop and playground, and they help keep the school trash free. And every Tuesday, fifth graders are participating in an after-school visual arts program, which is hosted by one of the Kings Beach third grade teachers. And during this program, they learn about artists, different art periods, and get to practice with drawing, painting, and collage. And lastly, at Glenshire, at over 270 students during their vacation, ski skate week, they read books all week long during their vacation, which was a very record number for Glenshire. And I just wanted to note all of the great things that students are doing in our schools, despite everything that we've gone through so far this year. And I so appreciate their hard work. And also, most especially, I so appreciate the hard work and dedication of our teachers and our TTUSD classified staff, everyone that's involved. So I wanted to share that with you. And lastly, we do understand and recognize that our parent volunteers have been working so hard in dealing with all of the extraordinary changes and challenges this year. And as you know, we had a huge pivot in January. We had lots of cases. So now with the pivot, the surge gone, we're back to focusing on our volunteer policies and protocols. So at the April 20th board meeting, I'd like to present with volunteer parents' support and input. We'd like to revise our volunteer protocols and bring back to the board on the 20th and show you what we've come up with for the remainder of the year and for next year as well. So we're looking forward to doing that and involving our parents from both the Lakeside and Truckee sides. Ms. Zapatini and I will be working on that together. And I attended the Tahoe Truckee Workforce Housing Agency JPA board retreat today and had a wonderful time to meet some really amazing people in Placer and Nevada and in the town of Truckee. Our agency partners are just unbelievable. So I'm looking forward to next steps in building a strategic plan with our JPA. And that's all I have for this evening, President Zurich.
Thank you, Superintendent Geisels. It's always so great to hear and see the amazing things that our kids are doing. So thanks for that really positive reminder. Next, we have 2 resolutions, the first of which is about buying a bus and a contract with Bus West.
Yes. Mr. Rivera, would you like to present this resolution?
Yes. Thank you. So we recently received another grant award from Northern Sierra Air Quality Management District to replace an existing aged bus that was over mileage and had poor air quality efficiencies. This particular resolution is for the purchase to participate in a pricing that was established through a formal bid process through Hemet Unified. Districts are allowed to do that under Public Contract Code section 1118. It's called the piggyback clause, where we can participate in that pricing that's already been established. So the cost of an 84 passenger bus is approximately $199,000. And the grant will fund approximately $75,000 of that. So this resolution just allows us to purchase the bus directly from Bus West without having to go through a bid process and participate in the Hemet Unified Agreement.
Thank you, Todd. I know there was at least one question from the board in the homework. Are there any other board questions on this item? Is there any public comment on this item?
No, there's no public comment on this item.
Thank you. Would someone like to make a motion on this?
I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 18, and I'm excited that that happened. That's great.
I'll second.
Member Levack?
Aye.
Member Hennessy?
Aye.
Member Driller?
Aye.
Clerk Larson?
Yes.
President Zurich?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have a resolution authorizing electronic meetings to continue as necessary.
Yes, President Zurich. As you know, in March of 2020, Governor Newsom issued an executive order suspending provisions of the Brown Act and allowing meetings of the governing board to be held telephonically or otherwise electronically. So this resolution must be extended every 30 days. So I bring before you the resolution AB 361 for the month of March, and staff is asking the board to approve the resolution number 19/2021-22, authorizing electronic meetings of the governing board during a state of emergency pursuant to Government Code Section 54953.
Thank you. Questions? Public comment on this item?
There's no public comment on this item.
Would someone like to make a motion on the item?
I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 19 as presented.
I'll second.
Member Levack?
Aye.
Member Hennessy?
Aye.
Member Driller?
Aye.
Clerk Larson?
Aye.
President Zurich?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we move on to donations from our generous community, the first of which is accepting a donation from the Heart of Gold bike ride for teen mental wellness at TTUSD for the schools located in Nevada County. And I want to acknowledge that we have County Manager Allison Lehman here with us at the meeting, as well, of course, as our wonderful Supervisor Hardy Bullock, whose passion, I believe, this project was or is. So, Superintendent Geisels.
Yes, so the inaugural Heart of Gold gravel race is a 55-mile race with a 31-mile timed summit, and it happened on November 8th, 2021. It brought together over 200 riders to raise funds awareness for teen mental wellness. And we have the honor of Supervisor Hardy Bullock and Alice Lehman here to be part of this evening. Mr. Bullock was the event chair of the Heart of Gold. So I'd like to turn over the microphone, so to speak, to Hardy so he can let us know about this wonderful donation that we're so happy to accept. Hardy?
Thank you so much. Thank you, President Zurich, and honorable trustees and Superintendent Geisel and all the staff members here. I'm going to start by saying I want to thank everybody on this call for the resilience and hard work and the big pivot that you put into keeping our school system running over the last 2 years. And it worked, and it worked through thick and thin and good times and tough times. And I just you just can't pass those out enough. And I'm so thankful for the support you've offered our students here. And really the proof is in the pudding when I hear about 69 freshmen on the honor roll and 45 scholars. You can't beat that. That's just amazing. So I'm really proud of that. So we're here tonight, not to take up too much time, but we're just wanted to reinforce our partnership with TTUSD in the county of Nevada. And Allison Lehman, the Chief Executive Officer, when I came on to the county, I said, hey, what do you think about doing this bike ride that I've done for 15 years, but we'll do it through Nevada County and we can make it a benefit for teen mental wellness. And she jumped in with both feet and really rallied executive staff and all the community partners. And we raised, I think, and Allison can correct me, but I think we raised about $38,000 toward the cause. And there were Bright Futures for Youth, Big Brothers Big Sisters of Nevada County, Child Advocates, Youth Bicyclists of Nevada County, YBONC, and then TTUSD. And so I think, I don't know the exact amount, but I think we have a check for you for $2,000, and we hope you use it toward any program that benefits teen mental wellness. And we're really looking forward to setting up this coming year's ride. And we're working with the committee to really make it comprehensive to as many partners as we can get. And we just want to kind of get on here tonight. And I'm going to turn it over to Allison, but just to show our support from the county perspective for TTUSD and the work you're doing on behalf of all of our students.
No, absolutely. Thank you, Supervisor Bullock. No, very appreciative of the leadership of all of you, as Supervisor stated, but then also the coordination, the high coordination with your amazing staff. So we look forward to more partnerships in the future, and I'm really pleased that we're able to provide this donation to support your students.
Thank you, Allison. Thank you, Hardy. Any questions from board members? Do we have any public comment on this item?
No, there's no public comment on this item.
Thank you. Would someone like to make a motion on this, accepting the donation?
I will make a motion to accept the donation as presented. I don't have the number in front of me.
10.2.
Yeah, 10.1. 10.1. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Supervisor Bullock and Allison. I know that you are both really identifying the need and really moving energy and resources towards the need. Really, really excited for this opportunity to integrate this into our Nevada County schools. And with that, I will second.
Member Levack?
Aye.
Member Hennessy?
Aye.
Member Driller?
Aye.
Clerk Larson?
Yes.
President Zurich?
Yes. And again, thanks so much, Hardy and Allison. So
Thank
appreciate
you.
it.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, guys. Have a good meeting.
You too. Thank you.
We have another donation this evening, and that's from Apple/First for the Truckee Robotics team.
Yes, Truckee Robotics team is the beneficiary of a generous donation from the Apple First. It is donating $1,449 to assist our Truckee High School students with their learning of robotics.
Board questions? Public comment?
There's no public comment on this item.
Would someone like to make a motion?
I will happily make a motion to accept donation item 10.2 for the robotics team.
I'll second.
Member Levack?
Aye.
Member Hennessy?
Aye.
Member Driller?
Aye.
Clerk Larson?
Yes.
President Zurich?
Yes. Great, thank you. Next, we have actually two grants. The first of which is a grant related to the bus that we just approved, whose purchase we just approved. Todd?
Yes, thank you. So this was the grant that I mentioned earlier for $75,000 from Northern Sierra Air Quality Management District to purchase a new 84-passenger bus. One thing I did want to note was that originally the agreement was for a conventional bus, which are the smaller buses that we use on some of our special education routes. However, we expressed our need to replace a transit bus instead, and they allowed that. And there is an amendment in the agreement showing that. I also wanted to thank and also congratulate Tony Lebezo and Nanette Rondow, who have been very diligent in receiving these grants and going after them. And they really have covered a big portion of our bus replacement plan over the years. So thank you to them, and we'll keep going.
Thanks for the work on that. Questions? Public comment on this item?
No public comment.
Would someone like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion, but I just want to echo Todd's. I really think it's awesome that we have such an amazing crew that does look for those grants. I mean, there is stuff out there all the time, and I just it's an extension of their workload for sure, but so valuable. And I know we've done this in the past, and I think it's just really important to highlight their amazing job at doing it, because I hate wasting money, and there's free money out there. So with that, I will make a motion. You know me. I will make a motion to approve this grant number 11.1, and thank you so much.
Thank you, Dee Dee. I'll second.
Member Levac,
Aye.
Member Hennessy,
Aye.
Member Driller,
Aye.
Clerk Larson,
Yes.
President Zurek.
Yes. Thank you. And then next we have a grant from X and Ed, Excellence in Education Foundation for North Tahoe High School's library.
Yes. So Excellence in Education is making a generous donation to North Tahoe High School Library. The grant amount, $2,183.54, will allow flexible seating in the library, which will promote collaboration and supporting work groups in our North Tahoe High School Library by our students. The grant will also enhance the current seating by purchasing 2 additional benches. So staff is asking the board to accept the grant from Excellence in Education for North Tahoe High School.
Questions? Public comment?
There's no public comment for this item.
Would someone like to move acceptance of the grant?
I will make a motion to approve the acceptance of the grant 11.2.
I'll second.
Member Levac,
Aye.
Member Hennessy,
Aye.
Member Driller,
Aye.
Clerk Larson,
Yes.
President Zurek.
Yes.
Thank you.
Next, we have our consent agenda. Does staff need to pull either item off the consent agenda?
No, President Zirk, we do not.
Does any board member want to pull an item from the consent agenda? Would someone like to move the consent agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
I'll second.
Member Levac,
Aye.
Member Hennessy,
Aye.
Member Driller,
Aye.
Clerk Larson,
Yes.
President Zurek.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have 2 information items in curriculum and instruction. The first is a CTE course proposed for sports medicine.
Yes. Ms. Jones-Apatini will be talking about the CTE course, this introductory course that's been designed to have students learn the fundamentals of careers in sports medicine. Ms. Apatini?
So we're really excited to be able to bring this to North Tahoe High School. I worked with Mrs. Mitchell today. We have a lot of students who are interested in it. It was kind of the brainchild of what can we bring to students that would really kind of support the world in which we live in here in Tahoe and Truckee. So this is an entry-level course. We are looking to grow the CTE pathway. With adding a second level course next year would be the goal of the focus of it. Any questions from the board members?
Sounds super exciting.
Yeah.
Okay, then we'll move on to our next information item, which is the first read of adopting our high school science materials.
Yes. So we have some background information to provide, and with that, we have Ms. Jenny DeWall who's going to do that. Jenny?
Yes, thank you. Thank you and good evening. I'm just here on behalf of Ed Services to go over our adoption, the first read for our high school science materials. The pilot involved one publisher, Savvis, because it was the only one aligned with the next generation science standards. Both high schools, all three high schools had access to the materials for the pilot. The teachers that participated in the pilot were pleased with these textbooks from Savvis that from biology, chemistry, and physics. It addresses how NGSS, not just the standards, but the style of teaching from integrating, provides sufficient phenomena throughout the units, which is a really interesting way to approach science. And using the NGSS, the 5E framework. So they felt that this publisher held up everything they need for NGSS.
Wow, thanks for the diligence on that. Is it surprising that there's only one publisher, Jenny, that would be addressing this?
I found it surprising given California, the State Board of Education came out in 2016 saying we have moved to NGSS. So I thought that was interesting just to have one still.
Right. But it
Yeah.
was satisfactory, so that's great.
Definitely. They were very pleased with it.
Great. Other questions from board members? Okay, so we'll have 30 days.
I don't have a question. I just have a quick comment. I just wanted to, yep, sorry, I missed that. I got to do the hand first. No, I really am so excited about another career pathway in the fields that we're supporting our communities and our entities where we live. Having that we have one in Truckee for the emergency medical as well. So this is a huge step, I think, for our population, which I really compliment. And I'm really excited about your science aspect of this one, Jenny. It sounds like we've got a really good thing going. So I'm really proud of what we're doing. And again, I love the fact that we're thinking outside the box. And as Carmen mentioned, there's been some tough times, but I really am impressed with the amount of work outside and looking for the silver lining. So thank you.
Thank you, Dee Dee.
Any other board questions, comments? Okay, so we have the materials available for review and it'll come back for approval. Great, thank you so much. Thanks, Jenny. Next, we're going to move on to business services and facilities. The first item under that is an agreement between TTUSD and the Garland Company for roofing materials for Alder Creek Middle School.
Mr. Rivera?
Thank you. And I can cover both 15.1 and 15.2 because they are related. We currently have a need for roof replacement at Alder Creek Middle School. Essentially, what we're going to be doing is a full overlay on the main building and full replacement on the portable classrooms. We have used this process in the past where we purchase materials separately and then we bid out the actual labor. So the first agreement is between Garland Company and the district for the purchase of the actual roofing materials. That value is approximately $1,012,000. The next is for a contract with Rua and Son Mechanical, who actually won the bid process for the labor portion. And that contract amount is $665,129,000. So the entire roof project is going to be approximately $1.75 million. And those will be funded through our remaining certificate of participation funds, but also we'll be contributing some deferred maintenance funds to that as well.
Thank you, Todd. Dee Dee?
Did it better this time. I think I want to bring up the point that I think, Todd, the reason we did this was because it was financially better for us to do it that way. We were able to get a better deal. Is that correct if we did it this way?
Well, I mean, we did a lot of research on different products. We did want to specify the products that we wanted to use, and there's reasons why we use Garland. They have a longer warranty than we often see with other vendors and other products, and also they perform the planning and inspection for us when we're doing the roof work. So they're basically on the hook for the warranty, so they make sure it's installed properly.
Perfect. Yeah, because I just wanted to make that out there in the public that there's a lot of research into why and how we do what we do, and that it, again, just making us fiduciarily sound. I think that no one knows quite what you do on the backside, and I just needed you to say it in public. Sorry.
That's perfect, Dee Dee. We want to pinch those pennies as best we can, right? Other questions? So, I'm going to take questions on all three of these because I believe the third one is also related to this, right? Because we're designating the superintendent to be able to sign the contract for this work, right?
It is, and I can talk briefly about that as well.
That'd be great.
So, as I mentioned with the bus purchase item, the district's able to participate in contracts that have been bid through other public agencies, as long as there's some piggyback provisions. We're also able to take advantage of products and services that have been bid directly with the state of California, and that's called the California Multiple Award Schedules. So Garland has a contract with the state of California under the CMAS agreements. And essentially, we are participating in that for the purchase of the materials to get that pricing. And we have brought a delegation to the board in the past for the CMAS agreement. However, Garland has a new agreement with the state. The old one expired, so this essentially is covering the ability for the superintendent or designee to actually enter into contracts under the CMAS agreement.
Thanks, Todd. I appreciate always finding, as Dee Dee said, the most cost-effective way to have a quality product. So any questions on any of these three items, we'll have to approve them separately. Do we have any public comment on any of these items?
We do not have a public comment on those.
Thank you. So would someone like to move 15.1?
I'll make a motion to approve 15.1 as presented.
I'll second.
Member Levac,
Aye.
Member Hennessy,
Aye.
Member Driller,
Aye.
Clerk Larson,
Yes.
President Zurich.
Yes.
Thank you.
Then 15.2?
Make a motion to approve 15.2 as presented.
I'll second.
Member Levac,
Aye.
Member Hennessy,
Aye.
Member Driller,
Aye.
Clerk Larson,
Yes.
President Zurich.
Yes. And lastly, 15.3?
I'll make a motion to approve 15.3 as presented.
I'll second.
Member Levac,
Aye.
Member Driller,
Aye.
Member Hennessy,
Aye.
Clerk Larson,
Yes.
President Zurich.
Yes. Thank you. Nice work, Todd, and I'm sure George and your whole crew. Thank you. Lastly, we have fiscal services and our second interim report.
Mr. Rivera, he's going to present for us this evening.
Thank you. Let me just bring up the presentation on the screen. Okay. Thank you. So tonight we will be presenting the second interim report for the 2021-2022 fiscal year. Just as a reminder, the second interim covers any budgetary changes as of January 31st, 2022. We're required to present to the board and have it approved by March 16th. And really what it's covering is any major changes that we've seen since our last interim report. And then we also do have to include our multi-year projection, which is the current year and 2 subsequent fiscal years. And we are continuing to see a positive certification for our multi-year projection, meaning that we can meet all financial obligations for the current year and 2 subsequent years. So this is just a recap of where we are in the process. Second interim report will complete today. And then as we move forward through the rest of the year, it will be all about the LCAP and budget development for the 2022-2023 fiscal year. And I'm actually happy to report that there hasn't been a lot of changes since our first interim report. A lot of times we will see some shifts in some areas, but I'll just highlight the main things tonight. You know that the governor has put out his budget proposal for the 2022-2023 year. There are some things that may impact our district. He is providing funding for a universal transitional kindergarten. However, at this point in time, we're not going to benefit from that because it will be funded from the local control funding formula. He is also providing or proposing a 5.33% COLA for not only the LCFF funding, but also for special education. So we probably will see that in our special education funding next year if it moves forward and gets approved by legislature. He also is proposing about $2.25 billion for facilities, and this is related to the school facilities program. There's a shortfall from the project funding list, so he's contributing some money towards that from the general fund for the state. So if that moves forward, that actually will benefit us because we have some projects that have been approved in the pipeline, but they're unfunded at this time. So we're hoping that does get approved in the future. And then there's another focus again for next year in his budget on early education. And then expanded learning opportunities. He is continuing to fund and sustain that program that was started in the 2021-22 fiscal year. And that's the before and after school program that's supposed to really target those students that are highest need. So looking back, to first interim and what our overall revenue changes are. Our overall revenue increased by about 4.5 million, a little over 4.5 million since our budget adoption. A lot of this was covered in our presentation for the first interim report with the increase in our property taxes. And of course, a lot of it was that additional COVID-related federal and state funding that we received, the ELO grant. Educator effectiveness was another one that contributed quite a bit to that increase. And then ESSER 3 funds as well. Second interim, really there wasn't that many large changes. We did see a $250,000 reduction for our CO certificates of participation debt service contribution. If you recall in the budget, we do include $250,000 as kind of a supplementary funding source to pay off the debt service for the COPs if our developer fees don't come in high enough. At this point, we know they've well exceeded what our projections are, so we can remove that from the budget. And essentially what that does is increases our revenue. And then we did see a second year award for our elementary secondary education comprehensive school improvement grant of $177,000. We saw some increases to our Nevada County Wellness Program as well. And then, of course, we always see additional donations and grants come in throughout the year, so we've increased it for that. One big thing that, I'm a little bit sad about is our interest earnings haven't recovered yet, so we did have to do a small reduction to that as well of $60,000. So this is just showing the adopted budget first interim and second interim. The changes that have occurred throughout the year. We're currently at a total revenue of $83,768,448. And then this is just breakdown of our summary, our revenue summary. And you'll see this year in particular and last year, our property taxes, state aid, and EPA funding is usually a little bit higher percentage, but because we've got all that federal and state funding over the last 2 years, that's changed the makeup of it a little bit. So expenditure changes, our overall expenditures have increased by $4.65 million. First interim, we covered about $4.39 million of that. A big portion of that change was our salary increases that we negotiated for all of our bargaining units, along with the one-time payments that we paid as well. It's great that all that is covered for the year, and we already have that incorporated in the budget, so there's no surprises there moving forward. We did have some carryover for local grants and donations, some capital outlay, additional purchases that we made. And then, of course, one of the big changes was also adding to those ESSER 3 and ELO expenditures. And we did share that we were seeing substantial vacancy savings at first interim as well, mostly with our classified staff, particularly special ed instructional assistants, and also our transportation department. So moving on to second interim, the changes that have occurred since then, We saw a small decrease in our certificated salaries, mostly because of a vacant position in our special ed department. $207,000 decrease in classified salaries. Again, that's additional from what we saw at first interim, and almost all of that is attributed to vacant positions for special education instructional assistants and bus drivers. Still have a lot of vacancies there. We saw a decrease in benefits of $135,000, which again is attributed to those vacancies that we're seeing, both for payroll liabilities and also health and welfare benefits that we're not having to pay out. We saw some increases to books and supplies, $136,000, and a big piece of that is associated with that additional ESSA CSI grant award that I mentioned earlier. And then for our services and operating expenditures, this is the largest increase that we saw between first and second interim. We saw some increases for professional services fees. For some of that's related to just some of the additional consulting fees that we're seeing with a strategic plan and some other things. We had an increase of $40,000 for our firewall licenses. And then a lot of this was just changing accounting classifications between either materials and supplies and moving it over to the professional services area. And then also there's just some other additional changes that we've had to some of our smaller budgets. We did see an increase for our capital outlay of about $235,000. That's because we had to act on replacing our security cameras at all of our school sites, because those are going to be phased out very shortly. So we definitely want to make sure we have those replaced before that happens. And then this is just a summary of our overall expenditures, totaling $82,725,481. And then the breakdown of our expenditures, where we all know that most of it is salaries and benefits. That's where a big portion of our budget goes. And then moving on to our fund balances. Our overall reserve for economic uncertainty is up to $12,015,462. That's an increase of about $21,000 from when we adopted the budget initially at the beginning of the year. And that equates to about a 14.5% reserve for economic uncertainty. So that's just showing the change from our original budget. We went from 14.47 to 14.52%, and shows some of the other balances that we have in some of our assigned and restricted funds as well. And then for our multi-year projections, we really didn't make any changes since first interim on these. So I won't go step by step. We did make some adjustments to some of the cost of living allowances for some of the funding sources, but it didn't have a large impact on our multi-year outlook. And then looking at our multi-year projection, you'll see our reserve for economic uncertainty does go down a little bit next year. It drops down. We deficit spend a little bit, which we talked about, and that was a result of some of the negotiated salary increases. However, we bounce well above that in the following 2023-2024 fiscal year. So we drop down to 14.7% in 2022-23. And then we go up to 15.48% in 23-24. And that's just our graph of our projected reserve for economic uncertainty. We show it on an upward trend. Hopefully it keeps going that way. And then what's coming up, we're going to have the governor's May revised budget coming in May. That'll be a more solidified budget plan for next year. We'll know how that may or may not impact us for the 2022-23 fiscal year. The ELO and ESSER 3 funds, we already know we have not spent everything that we had budgeted this year. We're going to have some remaining balances. We have multiple years to spend many of these different sources of money. So what we're going to do is try to estimate the remaining balances of what we'll think we'll end up with at the end of the year, and reprioritize that for next year, and hopefully be able to sustain some of the programs that we implemented this year for the extra student support. And then we're in the process now of just doing our planning for transitional kindergarten, for universal transitional kindergarten. So figuring out the space needs and also the staffing needs for that. So that is something that hasn't really been included in the out years yet. But as soon as we have some solid numbers on that, we'll be adding that to next year's budget. Any questions?
Todd, I have a couple, but does anyone else have questions? I just want to always, as I start off, compliment you with the verbal explanation that we get, because it makes it so easy to read to understand the report. We do the multi-year projections. Maybe this is a comment, not a question. But we do the multi-year projections, but we have to remember there's no pay increases incorporated into those, right? And then the universal TK is a new thing for us. As an expenditure that we have to plan to absorb, right? So we do have some. I mean, I'm happy about the reserve, but we have some things that are going to offset that we have to plan for.
Yeah, that's true. And we have so as far as the multi-year projection, we don't include any type of salary increases. We only include the step and column estimates. And of course, we don't really know what the true cost of TK is going to look like at this point. At a minimum, it's going to be additional staffing to meet the staffing ratios in the classroom, which is 12-1 for transitional kindergarten next year.
Right.
So there are some unknowns at this point that we'll be adding into the budget for sure.
And hopefully the gas prices will drop now, so that doesn't take up the rest of any surplus that we have this year. So, okay. Anybody else? So, do we have any public comment on this item?
We did not have any public comment.
Thank you. Sorry, I'm getting back to my agenda. I'm sorry. Would someone like to make a motion to approve the second interim?
I'll make a motion to approve the second interim, and again, thank Todd and his team for all of it.
I'll second. Thank you, Todd.
Member Lidak,
Aye.
Member Hennessy,
Aye.
Member Driller,
Aye.
Clerk Larson,
Yes.
President Zurek.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Todd. Great work. And your staff, of course. So next we move to public comment. This is the opportunity for anyone to speak to us about anything that was not on this evening's agenda. Public comments are limited to 3 minutes, and Lupita will put the timer on the screen for folks. And this is not really meant to be an interactive period, but rather our opportunity to hear public comments. So Lupita, I understand we have 2 commenters signed up for the meeting this evening. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. We have 2 public commenters.
Okay, so if we can go ahead and we will hear first from
Ann Kellis, and Search will bring her into the meeting.
Thank you. Yeah, Ann Callis. And do you have your camera on?
Yeah, sorry, they were just bringing me in from the breakout and I didn't hear the last.
Okay, terrific. Thank you.
Should I start?
Go ahead. Yep, you have 3 minutes. Go ahead.
Thanks. I'm a parent volunteer at Kings Beach, and tonight we've come to kind of reconvey our concerns about the volunteer requirements. I did hear Superintendent Geisel speak to the fact that we are going to address that in 2 more board meetings, and we're very, that's music to our ears. We're so glad to see this come into focus. So I appreciate that. So I'll try to modify my comments. I do want to touch on probably the 3 points that were covered in a letter that we also sent to the board today, signed by Kings Beach PTO, Tahoe Lake, as well as Glenshire. I'll also point out that we have sent back in December some recommendations and research we've done as parents, as PTOs, to the superintendent's office. Most of that is referenced in the letter. Point number one, the new requirements are really onerous. 2 appointments for TB testing, 1 appointment for fingerprinting, another appointment to turn in paperwork, and maybe 4 hours of pretty intense training. I mean, sexual harassment, toxic chemical disposal, suicide prevention, like very in-depth stuff. That means as I just try to go and volunteer in, help with second grade math, I'm literally being asked to learn like the history of sexual harassment law in some level, how to deal with the aftermath of a suicide at a school. I mean, intense stuff that probably is more appropriate for paid volunteer or paid staff or coaches, somebody with a lot of unsupervised contact. The second point is that it appears that the new requirements are not mandated by the state, and this is an important one. So many parents, teachers, principals have told us that, that we've all heard that the new requirements are really required for us to be in compliance with California Educational Code. We've been told by by the district, yet, as we're reviewing the California statutes, it appears that TTUSD's current clearance policy is just much stricter than than the California Educational Codes and respective laws mandate. And our letter cites this. It points out to a bunch of other larger districts than ours that don't have these requirements: SFUSD, LAUSD, OUSD, and the like. And then our third point is that most districts screen volunteers in a less burdensome way. That is, rather than putting every volunteer through the most extensive screening, the more cautious districts seem to be imposing a tiered volunteer requirement. And we did talk about this with Joan, and I think she is likely on the same page. We did send in a lot of this more detailed research, kind of a suggestion for a tiered policy based on.
Oops.
I take it my time is up. I'm sorry.
It is. Thank you, Anne.
Okay, thank you.
We all did receive the letter, and we appreciate what you're saying. So thank you.
Okay. Thanks, guys.
Thank you. And then secondly, we have Forrest Baker.
He was asked to join, and he's still in the break room, and search getting. He's there now.
Oh, there we go. You guys. Okay, I guess my time starts now. And sorry about the noise. I'm at the swim lessons, but just piggybacking actually basically off of what Ann said, I'm actually really glad to hear the board's going to kind of consider again requirements for volunteers. I sent some emails to the board earlier, also had dialogue with Joan about this. The one thing was that I really want to stress here is that the reason we were given for these new requirements that we have not had in the past was because we were compelled to by law. Through my research, again, just looking through the California codes and what Joan had shared with me, I think there's some maybe confusion in the California education codes, plus in the TTUSD or the 1240 administrative regulation that came out in 2015. Volunteers are broken out into different buckets. And so as you guys go back to consider what to do for requirements for volunteers, I just want to stress that for just going into a classroom to be a non-teaching aide that is under the immediate supervision of a credentialed person at the school, the education code views that type of volunteer very differently from volunteers who do before or after school programs, coaches, or other people who can be with students in a teaching manner or an unsupervised manner. So the ones who are under immediate supervision, the only requirements by law in order to do that is that you have to provide enough information to be checked on the Megan's Law website to make sure you're not a sex offender. And the other thing is to complete a TB risk assessment, not a TB test, but a TB risk assessment, short series of questions asking about travel and history just to see whether or not you're likely to have TB. Those are the only two requirements for non-teaching volunteer aides who are under the immediate supervision of a certified professional. So I want to make sure as you guys think about the requirements that we don't end up with a blanket requirement for all volunteers, given that the law does break them out differently. And just appreciate that you guys do have the discretion to add additional requirements. That's part of the law. It's every governing body in a district gets to add additional requirements for volunteers. But I want to make sure that everyone's aware that we don't have to for these types of aids, and that hopefully we'll go back to our 2015 administrative regulation where it just required the Megan's Law check and a TB risk assessment. Thank you.
Thank you, Forrest. Appreciate your diligence on this. And I believe that's all the public comment we have this evening. We can move on to board updates. Chris, you want to start us out?
Sure. I actually don't have a lot. So I just want to thank everyone who came out to support the kids at the high school for 5 shows this past weekend. And that's pretty much all I have right now. Thank you.
Thanks, Chris. Galen?
Yes, first comment is to Ann and Forrest. Yeah, I read your email, and I appreciate your insights and your concern. We do read them. As far as what I've been doing, I participated in the first meeting for our workforce housing. And this is specifically looking at school properties that we already own. The program balloons into a very complicated procedure once you get into it just a little ways. But it's very interesting and something that we need to do something about. Thank you.
Thank you, Galen. And I'm just going to sneak in here and say ditto. I participated also with Galen, and I think that's all I have to report for this time. I'm excited for that process. Kirsten?
No, I don't have anything for tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. And Dee Dee?
I'm going to publicly tell Chris that I got my ticket and I came home to change and went right to bed and missed my Chicago show. So I'm so bummed. But I had anticipated going to watch our little Ella because she's my employee at Diamond Peak. So I totally publicly blew it. And then I also want to just publicly thank Galen and Kim for taking the role of our Mountain Housing Coalition, because again, it is one of those things that's going to hopefully be a game changer. And I like having us have a voice since we are part of the entity. I really appreciate you guys doing it. And again, we've always talked about this. If you guys can't make it, please let us know, because I know that we had talked about one of us helping step in. And then I just appreciate the updates as you guys find more things on that. And then that's it for me.
Okay. Thank you so much. We will adjourn our meeting to our next regularly scheduled meetings. Thank you all. Have a wonderful evening.
Thanks, you guys.